Look at all these beautiful greens I have over here. Wonderful fresh turnip greens. They do require a little care though. The first thing we're going to do is strip the greens away from the stem. Where the green starts, you just stop and pull, and it's out of there. And before you know it, you'll have a big bowl full, and you're going to think, oh my gosh, I don't have a pot big enough for these. Well, let me tell you a little secret about turnip greens. You can have a barrel this big and that deep, and when you get through cooking them, it's going to go down to about this size right here. The other thing I want to tell you about greens is they can be very, very gritty because they grow down into the dirt. So you're going to want to make sure you wash them very, very good, get all that grit out of them. So we've got our greens, and over here in this pot, I've had ham hock cooking for about an hour and a half. Now, if you would like, you can certainly swap out ham hock for smoked turkey wings. And you can find these in any of your grocery stores. They make a great seasoning, and you will have to cook them about the same length of time that you will the ham hock. Now, these greens that I have up here that I've destemmed have been washed 3 times. They're nice and clean. So here we go. That water's boiling, and we're just gonna put them down in that broth, and you can see how quickly they'll break down. So depending on the greens, they could take anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, depending on whether they're young or they're older greens. So you'll just have to test your greens. And while those are cooking, I'm going to be preparing the roots that we're going to put in there. So to prepare your root, just trim both ends off and peel them like so. These take about 12 to 15 minutes. So we'll add those towards the very end of our cooking time. And we'll just slice them just like we would a potato, a cottage potato. Just like that. Now I'm going to come back to our pot now that our greens have kind of wilted down, and I'm going to add a chicken bouillon cube. And remember, this contains a lot of salt too, so I'm going to drop that in. And one other thing I'm going to do to these turnip greens that my grandmother Paula did not do, I'm going to put a little ground ginger in them, just a pinch. All right, so I'm going to cover these up, and while they're cooking, I'm going to go on to make my grandmother's cornmeal dumplings. When I was cooking my turnip greens, I put in a little extra broth so that I could have the extra broth to pull out. So we're going to mix up our cornmeal dumplings by starting with a white, medium ground, plain cornmeal, a little bit of salt, a little bit of chopped onion, and I like adding a little green onions. They just add a lot of interest in color. And 1 egg. All right, now we're just going to pour a little bit of that broth, and you'll want to do a little bit at the time because remember, you can always add 2, but it's hard to pull it back out. But see how simple that was? So all we're going to do is pick up a spoonful of our dough and mold it, and we're just going to drop those down in the hot boiling liquor, and it seems to be holding together nicely. Now we're going to let those cook for, oh gosh, maybe about 10 minutes. It really doesn't take them very long because we're going to let them boil pretty good. Oh, look at that pot of turnip greens. Now I've added those sliced turnip roots. They've cooked, and look how beautiful they are. Now I'm going to take our cornmeal dumplings, and I'm just going to lay them around on the greens, just like Granny taught me to do. How wonderful do they look? I want to make sure I get me a little piece of everything. Talking about putting some South in your mouth, this is it. And then I'm going to grab me a corn stick. They're so good.
Hey y'all, it's Paula Deen. Now, if you enjoyed this blast from the past, be sure to like it and click the subscribe button as well as a notification bell to be alerted when I post a video. Love and best dishes, y'all.